So today I want to talk about how you can use Midjourney to speed up your workflow in developing games and create certain types of assets for your games. In this case, I'm going to talk about levels that you can create for some types of games in Midjourney. You could also use DALL-E or other image generators. I personally use Midjourney. So here's an example of a map that I've created for a game called Dominions. Is composed of many Midjourney images. Pretty much every individual kind of asset that you can see, so like planets and these spheres and these castles are all made with Midjourney, with a few exceptions like this one. The space background is also made in Midjourney, and this big kind of serpent dragon is also made in Midjourney. That said, Midjourney can't produce an image like this. It's just not going to work. And this is a very large image. It's 6,400 pixels by 7,107. So what I do is create images in Midjourney and then enlarge them and kind of basically Photoshop them together. And I use I've used multiple space background. We'll just turn everything off except for the space background. And you can see if I just kind of turn these on one by kind of turn these off and then turn them on one by one, you can kind of see what I did. So here's one like space nebula, and then add looks like a mistake or copy paste error. And then I add another one that's fairly similar color palette, which is quite important. And another one, and then you can see that if I take these off, for example, you can see this last one. I've gone and used a kind of, how do I say it, almost like a dry brush to erase the edges of this, and I've erased it kind of irregularly, deliberately, so that when you join it with this one, it kind of, if you know this, where the seams are, you can kind of like spot anomalies. Like there's this little cloud here and it just cuts off, but I'd be very surprised if you noticed that before I pointed it out. So I think that overall the result is quite good. You can find seams if you look for them, but so far I've shared this with about 70 other people that are going to be playing on this map that I've made, and no one's pointed out any seams or other kind of issues. I've been the only person that notices them. So I want to show you how you can make content for your campaign, your games, using AI generated art. So here's another example that of a campaign poster I did for our D&D group. It's nothing. You're not going to see this in a movie theater, but for a 15-minute job, it's not too bad. So now I want to show you how you can create all kinds of different levels for different genres of games. So this one is a Baldur's Gate inspired background image. So the way that I find my prompts, so you can see how I did it. So what I did was provide this a screenshot basically from Baldur's Gate. Oh, come on. Oh my god, why is this being so difficult? No, I don't want to save it. Just want to open it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'll just Google search Baldur's Gate 2, and it's important to be specific. So I wanted a screenshot. If you just type in Baldur's Gate 2 map, you're gonna get this kind of thing, which might be useful, but that's not really what I was after. I wanted something, specifically the isometric kind of static images that you have as the level background in Infinity Engine style games. So Athkatla was the name of the main city in Baldur's Gate, and I can grab something like, I can grab the image like this. So I'm gonna open it in a new tab, grab this, and then my prompt was using something like that, so I'll go top down city, small buildings, put image reference there, Baldur's Gate 2 style environment. And then it's very important to set the image weight to be quite high, because you want the style to be very close to what you have here. So I will generate a prompt. So while that's generating, you can take my word for it. This is the kind of map that was used to generate. This is the kind of image that was generated with a similar approach that I've just shown you. And if you zoom in, you'll find lots of little kind of anomalies like this. So it's better if you don't let people zoom in too much, because if they start zooming, they'll see also all the little details that might not be good. But if you kind of look at it from this sort of size, and we just put in some Baldur's Gate characters that I cut out from earlier, I think they pretty much fit right in. You could probably do some editing on this to edit the sharpness and stuff. For example, let's try to sharpen this and see how. Sharpen. This is where I'm showing my kind of ineptitude with Photoshop. So I want to kind of play around and get what looks like a good effect. So I think that this, yeah, let's do that. Okay, so we've made it look a bit nicer, I think. If we go back, it's all kind of blurry forward, and I mean it's this is obviously not as good as a hand-drawn map in Baldur's Gate 2 or those sort of games, but this is basically free, and you can make thousands of these without a lot of the equivalent effort. And if you make a very large game using this kind of approach, then it's kind of a feature in itself that's quite attractive. So if we go back, so you can see it's generated these kind of town segments, and there's ways to improve this. So it's kind of created these little figures which look like people. You can use negation to remove them. Like for example, how I did somewhere. I use negative prompts quite often. I don't think I needed them too much, so I didn't use them. But you can remove them by typing something like no for a negative prompt at the end of your prompt, and go no people, which will just clean up these little kind of things that these little blobs that might when you enlarge it, they might end up looking like people. So some of these have different kind of angles on them, but I think I like this one here in the top right. So enlarge that, and what you'd want to do is do another upscale, so you can play around with it more, because it looks fine at this size, but if you enlarge it, then it's going to have more of these kind of like artifacts and low detail smudges that you don't really want. So that's kind of how you can create maps, or sections of maps, and put them together to create cities. It doesn't have to be even cities. You can create other environments like sand, kind of Arabic style locations. You'd have to play around with your negative prompts to kind of get rid of these sort of things. So this is obviously supposed to be some kind of fountain, but it couldn't figure out how it fits together in this building, so it's just made this strange blue cube. But those things are kind of fixable. And this is using, see, it's even made these tunics that are these cloths that are hanging out here look very similar to each other, which is good. And this was done using a reference image of Age of Empires 2. So yeah, that's it's pretty good if you ask me. Pretty good for so low effort. I'm not sure about the copyright regarding these. It would be, I think it's a complex situation. I'll be interested to learn more about it and share that with you once I learn more. So another type of thing that you can do for space games, for example, can generate planets like this one, which I actually have here. So I'm reusing something, and I've generated these kind of colony, space colony kind of image, and you can play around with this. I mean, I didn't really put a lot of effort in to create something that was really suitable. So just gonna show you what you can do with a fairly, just basically first thing that I got. So with an image like this, this little cone here would probably be better because it's simpler, but we'll try to use this little central piece. So I want to cut that out, put that here. Probably want to make it a bit smaller, maybe even more than that, and we'll put it over here. We probably want to skew it because it's on a spherical surface. So I want to add it. It's not going to be perfect, but we just want to add a little bit of skew, to it. If we add too much, then it's gonna make things worse. But I think that's okay. Now the next thing that you want to do is make sure that you don't have these hard edges. So it's going to basically go through and remove these. You want to make sure that you get every single edge so you don't have an obvious seam where it connects. And I'm just using a really basic brush here, just the soft round that everybody should have by default. The next thing that I feel like this skew is a little bit wrong. Generally a bad idea to double skew things, but I think I'll just ignore that for now. Okay, so now we've skewed it and we want to kind of clean up these edges a bit. It doesn't look very good at the moment, but one thing that will help a lot is if we make the two layers kind of talk to each other a bit. This will, especially if there's 3D objects in one layer, and you can make them kind of, stick out or interact, like, overlap the other one. So it kind of gives your image a little bit of depth, which is quite nice. However, there is a bit of a problem here, in that there's kind of graininess that you have here. So I want to kind of fix that by just kind of doing this little kind of manually. Okay, so, and this is kind of like, you want this background to talk to the foreground, but you also want the foreground to talk back. So you don't want to just kind of delete it like I did initially. So that looks much better. The next thing that you probably want to do is try to make the color match a bit more. So we've got this kind of purpley planet, and this thing is a bright yellow color, which is not going to work. So what we want to do is first remove a lot of saturation, because we don't need that much, and then we probably want to get it kind of a little bit purple. Yeah, I think something like that is okay. I want to adjust the contrast. The shadows on here are about as dark as the shadows around them. So I want to get rid of some of that very bright colors. And another thing that we didn't have to do, but it is quite important, is that your shadows are all facing the same direction. So in my poster here, I haven't really followed that. Well, so with some of them I have, like for example this character and this character, they're both, the light is coming from this direction. And for some, for this one it's kind of okay. With these ones it's a bit hard to tell, but it's kind of coming from the opposite direction. So those kind of things do jump out a little bit. So if it's possible, it's really worth trying to, if you're building something that's going to be permanent, you should make it good, and your shadow should face the same direction. So if this was and what are some more stuff that we can do? So it still kind of sticks out a bit, and it's good that we have these kind of mountains overlapping this space colony, but I think that we can do better. So what I'm going to do is select this layer, and then I want to kind of select some of this stuff, and I wanna I could use this a color, but I really want to use a stamp. A stamp is better because it gives you this texture and it's gonna look much better. So we're gonna color all this stuff in, or we can just actually just erase it. I'm gonna use one of these brushes. So that's a bit too grainy, so we're gonna reduce the opacity and a little bit grainy, but I think that overall that looks much better. You can and this is kind of one of those things where you can still make it look better by spending more time on detail and going into these, these kind of big pastures or whatever this is. You can make it even better by just kind of erasing them like this, and it's gonna look even better. But yeah, I'm just showing you an example of what you can do with to speed things up for yourself. So another type of game that you can use AI for is platformers. So this is a platformer style level. If I search for Geiger in my chat history, I've given it a reference at some point, and you can create these kind of dark looking levels. You can create kind of happy ones as well, but that's not really what I like. And there's a lot of variations, so you need to kind of play around and find what you like. I was trying to create kind of like a boss levels, and this might be a good stage where you have one of those big kind of pixelated monsters that moves around and you have to dodge bullet hell or something. You can create these kind of very vertical platform levels. You see little ladders here for you. So you can put colliders on them that allow the player to move vertically up, and the player doesn't they probably will know it's AI art, but it still looks good. It's this is still a ladder. This is some steps or a ladder, and there's some stuff that's kind of weird, like this. There's a ladder over here that's going nowhere, and you can fix that by just painting over it using the background. So in a level like this, what you would probably do is create kind of colliders, so I'm just gonna color these in for indication of what I'm talking about. So you could create these collision boxes, and your characters, and using something like Corgi engine in the Unity asset store, you could have enemies walking around on these platforms. So you could have you can kind of, all this stuff in the background is just kind of background art, but you could create these colliders to create the shape of the level. You can put put enemies in various positions, or you can put items to reward the player. And I want to show you how you can also use Midjourney to create characters for a game like this. So I've created this kind of robot. I have given Midjourney a reference image which I got on the internet, and I asked it to create a cyborg Garga style full body shot, black background. You really want black background because if you cut out the image, the edges of it are going to be a black outline instead of a red one, instead of a white one. And you want to make sure that you use no background, which is going to make the background like a plain color. So I want to select this whole character, and just want to make sure that these kind of seams are on here. Well, not the seams, but these gaps are not included because we don't want these. Photoshop is kind of average sometimes about selecting stuff, so normally I will use the magic wand, and then for all the little fine details that the magic wand missed, I'll just use a lasso. If there's a better way of doing it, then let me know. So I don't really want these kind of big gaps between his fingers because he'll end up looking like he's got webbed hands, which is not really the look that I'm going for. Okay, just gonna remove some of this. See, it's missed a whole chunk of his back, so you definitely want to include this. And that looks okay to me, so cut that out. Now, to make our character fit into this environment, there's a couple things you want to do. So one, he seems too big. I think that this probably, let's see, I think this is I think this is a better size. So we've got him about this size. He's facing, I feel like he's facing the wrong way. Now we want to desaturate him because this is a very grim kind of looking environment. We want to, I think it looks better if he's blue like this. Yeah, so it's very, very slightly blue. Don't really want him to have too much brightness, but we do want him to have a bit of contrast, so it's easy to see from the background. And yeah, something like this I think is okay. Now, so here's our character. He doesn't really fit in with the background, but you need to spend a bit more time on generating images to get something that looks right. With our background, there's a couple things we can do here. So we've got these lights here. So if we actually copy the background and we want to do something like say we do something like this, and then we have a copy of this, and the copy we just want to have more, much stronger light, for example. So we could, if you wanted to make flickering lights, for example, you could put two of these images on top of each other and create some some areas like this, for example, just where the light reaches, and in Unity have one image become transparent over time, and the other image from underneath it will be have more of a sort of influence on what the final look looks like. And doing this, you can kind of create the illusion of flickering lights, for example, using a Midjourney generated image. So we've got our character now, and you probably wouldn't be able to do this for a humanoid looking it'd be much harder to do this for a character that is like a person, but because it's a robot, and robots don't have the best agility, and their movements are robotic, you could, for example, take a cutout of his arm here, and so I'll make sure I've selected the whole thing, and basically make a doll out of it. So imagine you have like a piece of paper, and you cut out the arms and the legs on your figurine that you drew. So make sure that I'm not selecting stuff that I don't want. And I want this chunk of his arm. I don't want this. So you'd need to fill in this gap, but you can basically take this arm and then kind of do animations like so. So you need to color this in, so if this is in different positions, you wouldn't it wouldn't be so obvious that it's just been cut out. But you could do this a similar sort of thing with his legs as well, and basically you still have to move his limbs around to create a sprite sheet, or if you use like a 2D skeleton animator to do that, but it's still much more efficient than just drawing each frame by hand, in my opinion. So I hope this has been helpful, and I hope it's given you some ideas of what you can do. You can generate character posters for your characters in your different games as well, whether it's an RPG or a strategy game. You can also generate items for your inventory, and there's just a whole ton of value that you can get out of using AI art for your game development. So that's it for this video. If this has been useful or interesting, let me know. If you don't like it, let me know as well, and let me know what other kind of things you'd like me to talk about in game development space. Cool. Thank you. Bye.